It's a great day, sports world. What's up to all the sports lovers, haters, addicts, and fanatics out there? This is Larry Patterson coming to you for GT365. That's Game Time 365 Sports. Live here on the GTSN. That's the Game Time Sports Network. And you're tuned in to 32 teams in 32 days. We're watching the Arizona Cardinals today. That's right. We move into the NFC West. We down to the home stretch. This is it. I didn't kind of get it into you in the 32 days like I wanted to, but you know what? Hey, we at the home stretch and pretty proud of myself on this one, man. We looking at the Arizona Cardinals today, man. They started off the season 5-2, winning 2 straight. Then I think they lost 2 straight. They won 2 straight against San Francisco and Washington. Then they lost to Detroit and another team. Then they went on a 3-game winning streak with wins against I know it's Dallas and Seattle. And one of those teams when they beat Dallas on Monday night, they beat Seattle the week after. I think it was a 37-34 win. Went on a bye week, came back. They lost to Miami, and then they had the Hail Mary, the Kyler Murray big Kyler Murray throw, the Hail Mary throw to DeAndre Hopkins, which I think that was week 10, and they won that 32-30. And then after that, it just seemed like everything just started to trickle down. They were 3-6 in their last 9 games, finished the season 8-8. So it was on a 500 note, but not the season that they wanted to have. Immediately, like right after the season, not immediately after the season, but this team, let's just start with the key additions. This team got J.J. Watt, and that was a pretty smart move. Kind of questionable because I thought J.J. Watt was going to go somewhere else, maybe Green Bay, maybe a title contender or somewhat. But he went to Arizona. Whatever he saw out there is hopefully we'll see it pretty soon here. Colt McCoy, who played a few games last year in place of Daniel Jones over there in New York. He's coming over. James Conner, AJ Green, another key addition. Brian Winters, Demetrius Harris, a tight end. They traded for Rodney Hudson, which was a smart move. A nice offensive lineman they got from over there at the Raiders. I was surprised at the trade, but guess what? They needed it. Jack Crawford, a depth defensive lineman, Rasul Douglas, Darquez Dennard, and Matt Prater. So out goes Zane Gonzalez, comes in Matt Prater. Key departures for this team, Kenyon Drake, and he led the team with 955 yards and 10 touchdowns. Played 15 or 13 games. They didn't want to sign him back, and I think he went over to the Raiders. Devondre Campbell, who was a free agent acquisition last year from Atlanta, now he's gone. I think he went to Green Bay. Hassan Reddick. And the crazy thing about Hassan Reddick, man, in 2017, he was drafted. He had 2.5 sacks that year. In 2018, he had 4 sacks. He blitzed the quarterback 85 times, 9 pressures. In 2019, he had a sack, 90 blitzes and 7 pressures. And here's the thing. In 2020, this guy just went on a tear. 12.5 sacks in a contract year at that. 12.5 sacks, 140 blitzes, and 34 pressures. You can't make that up. And I don't fault Arizona for not even offering him an extension. Because where were you the first 3 years? But sometimes it happens like that. You know, you get drafted and I think Hassan Reddick was drafted pretty high. I want to say first round. You get drafted that high, and the draft pick doesn't turn out to be what it is. So in his final year, he decides to ball out, and I guess he's looking for a new contract. But he gets it somewhere else, and not with the team that drafted him. Corey Davis is one that I talked about that had did that earlier on the Tennessee Titans pod. You also got Patrick Peterson, longtime Arizona cornerback. Larry Fitzgerald. I didn't even see where it was official where he retired, but evidently he must have retired or whatever. He's not playing. He's not on the active roster. It's kind of sad to see that because every year you're prone to see him in the Arizona Cardinals uniform. But you know what? Father Time never disappoints. Dan Arnold, who was a longtime tight end over there. Trent Sherfield, Zane Gonzalez, as I mentioned, Chris Banjo, and Angelo Blackson. A few of the key departures that made the team that made up this team last year. Starting with the offense, as we always do. In the pass game, this team was ranked 17th. 3,916 yards was put up by this offense, ranked number 17. In the run game, they were ranked 7th, 2,237 yards. On third downs, this team was ranked 21st. On fourth downs, this team was ranked 6th. And in the red zone, this team was ranked 10th. Led by Kyler Murray, the short 5 foot whatever. Don't have his numbers in front of me, but that dude is pretty quick. He's pretty tough to bring down. He will juke you. He will just frustrate the hell out of you. He looks like a little kid that just took something out of your hand, and then you trying to chase him down just to get it back. And it's amazing how his speed is. Taking a look at some of his numbers in the pass game in 2019, because this is going to his third season. 2019, he was 349 for 542, 3,722 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, had a 64 completion percentage. In the run game, 93 carries, 544 yards, 4 touchdowns, 27 first downs. And here's the wowzer. Here's the wowzer right here. 48 times sacked. That is crazy. So Cliff Kingsbury, the next year, he felt like he had to do something. And you can't get your quarterback sacked 48 times, man. So the second year, he was 375 for 558, 3,971 yards he accumulated, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, still the 12 interceptions, 67 completion percentage. He had 133 carries, 819 yards, 11 touchdowns. He had 51 first downs and 27 times sacked. So he got that number down. You bring him some offensive line help. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's see how good the offense is this year. He really doesn't have any kind of excuses this year. They brought some security up front for you. You got another weapon. Let's see what the Magic does. He can't do it all by himself though, and hopefully those 544s and 819 in the run game. Hopefully that's a smaller number. But that's your starting QB heading into number 3. Colt McCoy. He played 4 games. He started 2. He had a 60 completion percentage, 40 for 66, 375 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I believe his record was 1-1 on the year because he did start 2 games. He's going into his 12th year. He started a few games early in his career when he was a high draft pick, but it just never really worked out for Mr. McCoy. Chris Shrevler going into his second year at the running back spot. Eno Benjamin, who in 2018 he had 300 carries, 1,642 yards, and 16 touchdowns in college. And in 2019, 253 for 1,033 yards and 10 touchdowns. This is his second year in the league. James Conner, My man James Conner coming over from Pittsburgh. James Conner always had a good story to him coming in. He had the cancer situation in college. He gets drafted to Pittsburgh. In 2018, he played 13 games. He started 12, 215 carries, 973 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4.5 yards per carry. In the past game, 71 targets, 55 catches, 497 yards, 1 touchdown. In 2019, played 10 games. He started 10 games, 116 carries, 464 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 yards per carry, 38 targets, 34 catches, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns. In 2020, last year, 13 games. He started 11, 169 carries, 721 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4.3 yards per carry. He was targeted 43 times, 35 catches, 215 yards. James Conner can it's good that you get you a back that can do it in the run game and the pass. However, I'm just not a really big fan of James Conner. I just always feel like there's better, but hopefully him and Chase Edmonds can form some kind of run game out there. I don't really believe that this will be a run team so much like it was last year when Kenyon Drake was rushed, almost had 1,000 yards. But I feel like maybe they can form some kind of situation out there in the run game. But I think this team will be mostly pass oriented. They'll be trying to get things done through the run, but I'm not sure. It all depends on what happens up front, though. So I'm not going to knock it. But anyway, James Conner going into his 5th year. Chase Edmonds played 16 games last year. He started 97 carries, 448 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.6 yards per carry. In 2019, he had 60 carries, 303 yards, and 4 touchdowns. We'll see what he brings. Jonathan Ward at Central Michigan, he had 1,108 yards and 15 touchdowns. I believe that was his last year. And he's going into year number 2 here. As far as the wide receivers, 7-time Pro Bowler AJ Green. He's got 8 100-plus catch seasons, 6 1,000-yard seasons. Last year with the Bengals, he played 16 games. A number that you haven't heard in a while. He played 14. He played 16. He started 14. He was targeted 104 times, and here's the number: he was targeted 104 times, 47 catches, 523 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was his numbers last year. I got some. I thought I had some other numbers there, but those were the numbers for AJ Green. And Joe Burrow lobbied the Bengals to keep him, in which you had other weapons over there too in Cincinnati. But I think it was just time for AJ Green to go. They weren't gonna offer him what he wanted, and basically he just had to settle on a 1 year with Arizona. Hopefully, him and DeAndre can create some kind of situation out there in the pass game. And you also got other help out there too. Speaking of DeAndre Hopkins, 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 6 1,000-yard seasons, 4 100-plus catch seasons. Now I got something for him right there. All right, in 2013, then he's one of the more available players that I've ever seen. Along with like Derek Carr that I mentioned the other day. Every year that he's been in, he's rarely missed time unless he's hurt. But DeAndre Hopkins basically only missed time if his team already made the playoffs and he don't play the final game. Other than that, he's a receiver that's never really hurt, man. He might tweak his foot or whatever, but he's still out there playing. In 2013, he played 16 to 16. 2014, 16 to 16. 2015, 16 to 16. In 2016, 16 to 16. 2017, 15 to 15. 2018, 16 to 16. 2019, 15 to 15. In 2020, 16 to 16. Last year, 160 targets, 115 catches, 1,407 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That boy working, man. He's got 4 playoff appearances under his belt. 2015, 2016, 2018, and 2019. I'm pretty sure he wants to make his 5th playoff appearance this year. I'm pretty sure he won it last year. Things didn't happen out like that. But we'll see what Mr. Hopkins got up his sleeve in that offense over there. After that, you got Andy Isabella. He had played 13 games. He started 2, 35 targets, 21 catches, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did some in the kick return game or the punt return game. I think it was the kick return game. He did a little work there. I think it was no more than 5 kick returns. And then the year before, he had 9 catches, 189 yards off 13 targets. So I look for Andy Isabella to make a big step this year. Christian Kirk, another one. 2018, he played 12 games, started 7, 68 targets, 43 catches, 590 yards, 3 touchdowns. 2019, 108 targets, 68 catches, 709 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Played 13 of 13. And then he played 14 of 10. He played 14 games. He started 10 in 2020, 79 targets, 48 catches, 621 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I look for Christian Kirk to make some sort of impact also. And then one guy that I've been looking at since his freshman year at Purdue, I saw him on a Thursday night. I forgot who the opponent was. I want to say it might have been Northwestern. But I saw Rondale Moore for the first time. And in 2018, in that whole season, he had 1,258 yards, 12 touchdowns. And he played in 2019, he only played 4 games. In 2020, he only played 3 games. So those are just sample sizes. I don't know if he was hurt, but I know 2018 was his best season. And that was the season I was like, yo, I'm going to really keep my eye on him until he gets to the NFL. And guess what? He's in the NFL. He's with the Arizona Cardinals. I didn't really understand the pick at first. I thought they were going to go in a different direction. Maybe a running back or maybe another defensive player. But they went with Rondale Moore, and it's a smart move. If you think about it, the more weapons. Antoine Wesley going into year number 2. So that rounds out your receiver room. Tight ends. Demetrius Harris, who's played with the Chiefs, who's played with the Browns, played with Chicago last year. He had 14 targets, 7 catches, 45 yards. He's got a pass block grade of a 65 and a run block grade of a 68. So he's very useful. Kind of limited. He's a depth piece, but when he's in, he does take advantage, whether it is blocking or setting the picks or catching passes. He's a very solid piece. I like Demetrius Harris. Darrell Daniels, who played 12 games last year, he started 8. He had a 77 pass block grade, 11 targets, 8 catches, 92 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Max Williams, it seemed like he's been in there forever, but he's going to year he has been there forever. Going to year number 7, 9 games he played. He started 8. He got a 70 run block grade, 10 catches, 10 targets, 8 catches, 102 yards, and 1 touchdown. So hopefully things get better for Max. In the offensive line, Rodney Hudson, who was just bought over, ranked the number 8 center amongst 36 other centers. He's got a 70 pass block grade and a 72 run block grade. They did a smart move on trading for him. They needed it bad. Michael Minnitt, who's a rookie. Marcus Henry going to year number 2. Max Garcia going to year number 7. Coda Martin. Justin Pugh, who has 74 pass block grade and a 62 run block grade. Brian Winters going to year number 9, who was just bought over, I think, from Buffalo. Kelvin Beachum, 76 pass block grade, a 59 run block grade going into year number 10. DJ Humphreys, ranked 4th out of 79 other tackles, a 79 pass block grade and a 90 run block grade. DJ Humphries going into year number 7. Josh Jones, who going into his second year, need a lot of help in the run game, in the run block, 45 run block grade, and he got a 78 pass block grade. Joshua Miles, and then Justin Murray, who's got a 73 pass block grade and a 45 run. He's stepping into year number 4. That is your offense, your Arizona Cardinal offense. For the defense, they were ranked 10th, 3,623 yards. In the run game, they were ranked 22nd, giving up 2,008 yards. Third downs, they were ranked 12th. On fourth downs, they were ranked 27th. And on the red zone, in the red zone, they were ranked 3rd. So they had a nice little red zone defense, considering what they had. As far as defensively, Zach Allen going to year number 3, 13 games he played. He started 7. He had 35 tackles, 2 sacks, 8 pressures. Jack Crawford, I think he might have played for Tennessee last year, but he's a newcomer coming over there. 10th year in the league, 16 games he played, started 9, 28 tackles and 2 sacks. Michael Dogby going to year number 2. Jordan Phillips played 9 games. He started 9, 2 sacks, 11 tackles. Going to year number 7. J.J. Watt, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. As we spoke about earlier, his availability up until 2016, and that was a bummer. Then 2011, he had 5.5 sacks, played all games. 2012, 20.5 sacks. In 2013, 10.5 sacks. 2014, 20.5 sacks. So another 20 piece. 2015, he had 17.5 sacks. And this is where he started to miss time. In 2016, he only played 3 games. He had a sack and a half. In 2017, he played 5 games, no sacks. In 2018, he played all 16 games. He had 16 sacks, 60 pressures. 2019, he played 8 games. That was another year that he was hurt. 4 sacks, 24 pressures. And then he had last year, he only had 5 sacks, but he played all 16 games, 29 pressures. He brings a sense of awesome pass rush over there to Arizona. Something that they really needed. Well, they didn't really need it. I mean, they needed it because, the top pass rusher who got 12.5 sacks, well, he's gone. You still got Chandler Jones over there, but now you need somebody else, and hopefully JJ will add some monstrous pass rushing ability over there. Hopefully he stays healthy too. Where we at? Lecky Fotu, 284 snaps, 7 pressures, 1 sack, 11 tackles. He steps in the year 2. Rashad Lawrence stepping in the year number 2. Corey Peters stepping in the year number 12. Rondell Carter stepping in the year number 2. Zayvon Collins played. He's a rookie. Played 8 games, 4 sacks, and 54 tackles last year. Victor Demukagi, he's a rookie. Kylie Fitz, 3rd-year player. He had 9 tackles last year. Dennis Gardick, 7 sacks. He's one of the leaders on the defense. Played 14 games, 16 tackles. He has 7 sacks though. He's stepping into year number 4. Marcus Golden, 16 games he played. He started 9. 4.5 sacks, 33 tackles. He had 10 sacks in 2019. So I believe he was with the Giants then. Jordan Hicks, his second year over there in Arizona. His first year, he had 150 tackles, and that was in 2019. And last year, he had 118 tackles. Chandler Jones, 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 8 forced fumbles, 19 sacks in 2019. Last year, he played 5 of 5 games. So not much production out of him. They were talking about maybe trading him. I know he said he wanted out because I guess a contract situation, but I guess he's staying right now. And hopefully they'll fix that situation. But he steps into year number 10. Devon Kennard stepping into year number 8. 13 games he played. He started 4. He had 7 sacks each in 2018 and 2019. He had 19 tackles and 3 sacks last year. So, but 13 games is not so much of a sample size, and he got hurt. So, Isaiah Simmons had 44 blitzes last year, played 16 games. He started 7, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 2 pass deflects, 54 tackles, 2 sacks. Hopefully he has a better second season. Ezekiel Turner and Tanner Vallejo round off the rest of the linebacking group. Those guys mostly used for special teams. Most of their snaps came from special teams anyway, and more than likely be the same this year. Robert Alford stepping into year number 9, and with Robert Alford, he hasn't played football in about 2 years. He played 16 games. He started 4 in 2014. He had 8 pass deflects. He played 10 games. He started 10 in 2014. He had 12 pass deflects. In 2015, he played 15, all 15 games. He started 15. He had 15 pass deflects. 2016, he played 16 games. He had 19 pass deflects. In 2017, he played 16 games and he had 20 pass deflects. In 2018, he played 15 games and he had 11 pass deflects. He signed with the Cardinals, I want to say in the offseason of 2019, and he got hurt. I want to say, I don't know if it was the Achilles or the ACL, but either way, it was a season-ending injury. The next year, the Cardinals gave him another try. He stayed on the roster, gave him another try, and then he went into training camp the same way. He was performing, and then next thing you know, he went down with injury. So out again. He hasn't played football in about 2 years. If you remember Robert Alford, when he was with Atlanta, he was the cornerback that had the pick 6 against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. One of the reasons they had went up big in that game. And that was a pick 6, one of the special moments of his career, which he had came out with a Super Bowl ring, but that didn't happen. So that's a little history on Robert Alford right there. Hopefully he's healthy this year because he could be a big help for that secondary. Luke Barku going into year number 2. He had 10 tackles and 152 snaps. Darquez Denard going to year number 8. In Atlanta last year, he played 8 games. He started 6, 36 tackles and 1 interception. I think he did pretty good as far as coverage also. Jay Gowan is a rookie. Rasul Douglas, they placed him on the practice squad. He's a nice depth piece, just in case one of those other starters go out. I thought he might have been on the active roster, considering the veteran in him, but I think he'll probably get there. Just taking some time. Byron Murphy, in 2019, he had 10 pass deflections. In 2020, he had 8, and he had 78 tackles in 2019, 51 tackles in 2020. Byron Murphy was a victim. I wouldn't say a victim, but he was a big part of one of the reasons why the secondary is not. I'm not saying that they're good or anything like that, but he was a rookie, and he basically had to. Robert Alford got injured. He was supposed to have been the starter. But Robert Alford got injured. So it took Byron Murphy, who was a rookie at the time. He had to come in and take on all these matchups. And some call it baptism by fire and whatnot. And that's exactly what it did. I think it only makes him better. But he already had his dosage 2 years in a row because Robert Alford was supposed to come back the second year. And then, that left the spot open for him. So Byron Murphy going into his 3rd year. We'll see how he does. Antonio Hamilton. I think he's on the practice squad, but then you got Jace Whitaker stepping into year number 2, and Marco Wilson, who's also a rookie at the safety spot. Buda Baker. There is something. Byron Murphy, he had 112 targets in 2019, 112 targets. That's how you know they was really picking on him a lot. 112 targets, 78 completions against him for 69%. 69%. You know what I'm saying? My man was targeted 112 times, you know. And then last year, he was targeted 81 times, completed against 53 times for a 65 completion percentage. So hopefully Byron Murphy gets a lot better this year. Matter of fact, he's one of my players I'm watching this year. Buda Baker, 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. It seemed like yesteryear that we were just sitting here talking about Buda Baker. 2017, he had 74 tackles and a sack. 2018, he had 102 tackles, 58 blitzes, and 2 sacks. In 2019, he had 147 tackles, 44 blitzes, and a half a sack. And in 2020, he had 118 tackles, 70 blitzes, and 2 sacks. So one of the better box safeties in this league. Up and coming. When I think of him, I compare him to guys like Jamal Adams. Not so much Jamal Adams' pass rushing ability, but the coverage is just not there. If you read, I seen his coverage numbers. I didn't really like it. Just kind of remind me of a typical box safety. But that's Buda Baker. I remember he got chased down by DK Metcalf on the Sunday night game. That was pretty sweet. You also got guys, Deontay Thompson stepping into year number 3. He played 11 games. He started 2 in 2019. In 2020, he played 13 games. He started 4, 27 tackles in that season. Jalen Thompson, going to his 3rd year in 2019, he played 15 games. He started 9, 57 tackles. Last year, he was hurt a little bit. Played 5 games, started 4. He only had 19 tackles. Charles Washington steps in as going to his 5th year. James Wiggins is a rookie. Special teams, Matt Prater, 2-time Pro Bowler, had a 75% field goal percentage in Detroit and a 92 extra point percentage. So out goes Zane Gonzalez. In comes Matt Prater. Matt Prater is known for a big leg there at the kicker spot. Maybe we'll see him in the kicker of the week. First 5 games for this team at the Tennessee Titans. Then they play the Vikings. Week 2, week 3, they're at the Jaguars. Week 4, they're at the Rams. And week 5, they're home against the 49ers. And to start your season off in the first 5 games against 2 tough division opponents at that. You're already playing Derrick Henry the first game, and you're playing Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson the second game. You play Trevor Lawrence in the 3rd game. Then you get to see Aaron Donald and Nick Bosa in games 4 and 5. So that's a pretty tough little schedule right there starting out. The first, this team had 7 picks in this past year's draft. Zavin Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa. Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue, was picked in round 2. Round 4, Marco Wilson, cornerback out of Florida. Victor Demukiji, defensive end out of Duke, round 6. Another round 6 pick, Tay Gowan, cornerback out of UCF. Round 7, James Wiggins, a safety out of Cincinnati. And round 7, Michael Bennett, a center out of Penn State. That rounds out your draft class for this team. This team in a tough division like the NFC West, it's tough. And they kind of they're probably the weakest link, I would say, compared to defenses like San Francisco and LA, and Seattle. You can never sleep on them. So with this team, I don't know, man. Maybe they can work with them. Maybe they can't. They had a couple surprising victories last year, especially with Seattle, especially with Arizona, especially with San Francisco the first game. So we'll see how this Arizona team does. They had the potential, and hopefully Kyler Murray doesn't have to run for his life all the time this year. This is Larry Patterson. This is GT for GT365. This is Game Time 365 Sports Live here on the GTS, and this is the Game Time Sports Network. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. If you have not liked the Facebook page, please do so. If you see it on YouTube, just know that the first the first 8 teams, which was the AFC South and the NFC South, they're on Facebook. Go ahead and check it out. We had some trouble loading on YouTube at first, so go ahead and stop by, check those things out. Give your boy a like. Until then,